Hello and welcome into this edition of the Wildcat Weekly Coaches Report here with head baseball coach Dan Spencer. Coach, how are we doing?
Good to be here.
Got some lovely weather out here today in March. Guys getting out there in short sleeves, so that's pretty exciting, huh?
No, it's been great. The weather really since in the end of January has been pretty good. We've been fortunate. We have.
So getting underway here. We've already had one conference series. You guys got to travel a little bit and get to see this team. There's a lot of young talent here, a lot of freshmen and sophomores that are getting an opportunity early on. What do you have to say about that group in particular here so far this season?
Well, I think our young guys, obviously, that's the future, and we're trying to lay the ground floor to what we're trying to do here for the foreseeable future, and those guys have performed pretty well in some tough spots. The only downside of that is we're asking them to do a little more maybe than you would if we were loaded up in the upper classes in some of those positions. So we'll just keep going forward and riding it out, and hopefully they get better every week.
Well, so you are inheriting a group here that's got a lot to learn on the fly here with last season's struggles and then this season trying to get off to a good start. What's going to be the focus here in these first couple of weeks, these conference weekends you got coming up here?
Well, we're trying to be less generous. We're trying to throw more strikes, walk less guys, hit less guys, play catch better, play better defense. We're trying to limit some of the opportunities and some of the traffic on the bases that we are kind of self-inflicting. So that's been the emphasis to try to shore up those areas of our generosity in those areas that we need to clean up, and we've talked about that now for a couple of weeks. And the games that we've been in and the games that we've won are games that we've kind of taken care of those things.
Well, one of those games that you won this last weekend was in large part to a fantastic pitching effort by Colton Meyer. One of the few pitchers you have on this staff that has a lot of experience, got a lot of run last season. Talk a little bit about your sophomore and what you really liked from him here early on this season.
Well, I've liked him, and I liked him. Obviously, he was tremendous on Saturday against Pacific, but I've loved him since the day we got here in the fall and started doing our thing. Just watching the way he goes about his business and the way he works and the way he takes care of things, because he's not a big vocal leader. What he is he's a very example-driven guy. You can point at the young guys, and we have those young pitchers and Skinner and Slaughter and Del Biagio and Kemp, and say, hey, do what he does, follow him around, how he trains, watch how he works out in the weight room, watch how he does his running, watch how he does things with intent. And so he's been a tremendous leader that way. And those things, the guys that do those things are generally the guys that do things like he did on Saturday. Go 6 strong against a good offensive team and give his team a chance to win.
So on the other side of the ball as well, when it comes to hitting, you do have a lot of returners in that area. You have 2 honorable mentions in the Northwest Conference a season ago in Tanner Earhart and Wyatt Smith. We saw Wyatt Smith with a pretty good weekend swinging the bat as well. How much are you going to be riding those guys in particular to try to get some momentum here when it comes to swinging the bat? Well,
both of those guys have been in the middle of our order all year long, and they're both driving in runs. So those guys have been steady guys. They're rocks. They have, like you said, they're 2 of the guys, those 2 in Cromwell really that had a lot of at-bats from last year. And all 3 of those guys are doing a good job as far as, producing some offense. And, we need, unfortunately, it's hard for us when one or the other, and baseball's a hard game. It's hard for us when one or the other of them doesn't hit 400 and drive in 6 or 7 runs on a weekend. Wyatt was great this weekend. Tanner was great in Arizona. David's been solid. Brocious at the plate. Cromwell, unfortunately with our style right now, we need them all to be going good because we've got to score runs to win. So, and that's a lot to ask. I understand that, but they're very good players and they're great kids, and they're kind of cornerstones for that offense.
I do want to talk just a little bit about Brocious as well, because for the most part, we had only seen him as a pitcher. But him getting the opportunity now as a hitter, he's hitting the ball real well, near the top of the team in the RBI category. Can you just give the folks at home a little bit of an understanding of how hard it is to be a two-way guy here at the college level?
Well, I think it's really hard. I do. I think there's a lot of the nuances of, especially David, because he's a position player. He plays a position too. So it's not like you're saying, okay, well, you're just going to hit, but you don't have to work on your craft at first base, or you don't have to take ground balls. He has to do those things. And we have a number of guys that are, are being forced to. Wyatt throws some. and plays. Skinner does both. We threw a bullpen with Cody Stevenson, a catcher, yesterday. So we are in a position where we need to do some of those things, and it's hard to do. And David's a very good athlete, and being an older guy, I think, helps him. I wish that he had 250, 300 college at bats under his belt, because it would help him now. But he's swinging the bat really well for a guy that has 45 college at bats.
And last question here, as you guys get ready to hit the road, you're going to take on a Willamette team up in Salem, right there in the middle of the pack when it comes to the conference schedule. What are the big 2 or 3 things you really want to focus on here this weekend going up to Willamette?
Well, like I said before, we need to the thing we have to do a better job of is limiting their opportunities. Their opportunities offensively. So we need to cut down on some of the free 90s that we give up, the walks, the base on balls, the hit batters, and the routine defensive plays that we need to make. So we need to play catch and throw strikes. And I think if we do that, then we're going to find ourselves right in the middle of all 3 of those games.
Coach, thank you so much for the time, and best of luck this weekend.
You bet. Thanks, fellas. Appreciate it.